Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. The city of Charleston dedicates a significant portion of its annual budget to the Charleston Police Department.
Yeah, for the current fiscal year, the capital city has set aside $111 million to CPD. And now that includes more than $2.5 million for overtime pay.
From fiscal years 2017 to 2023, CPD spent more than $15 million on overtime, averaging about $2.2 million a year. In that period, officers claimed more than 452,000 hours of overtime.
So tonight, Eyewitness News lead investigative reporter Kenny Bass has been breaking down the department's numbers. He joins us live in the studio. Kenny.
Well, Dave, Gina, everyone knows that police officers don't work 9-to-5 jobs. Crime can happen at any time, and officers must be ready to respond whenever they're called. However, the Charleston Police Department's overtime budget is growing. In fact, over the past 3 years, it has exploded. Here's a look at how much OT officers are claiming and the OT that you're paying for. Recently, several former and current police officers reached out to Eyewitness News with concerns about overtime being accumulated by members of the Charleston Police Department. They talked about the possibilities of waste, fraud, and abuse. They also said they were worried about the impact massive overtime payments may have on one of the department's pension plans, which covers many retired and older officers still serving on the force. Some of those officers produced documentation, including a June 1st email sent by Charleston Patrol Commander Captain Brian Griggs. He wrote about several issues addressed by then Chief of Police James Tyke Hunt, including rank structure, lack of discipline, and rumor spreading. But he also weighed in on the overtime issue and officers checking on other officers' time cards. Griggs tried to put a stop to that, writing, quote, "So I am giving a direct order that officers will not be in anyone's telestaff unless they are directly responsible for approving that person's telestaff," end quote. Eyewitness News wanted to take a look at those records, so we sent a Freedom of Information Act request to the city asking for police payroll numbers for fiscal years 2017 to 2023. We examined those records and found nearly 500,000 hours of OT. Here are the top 3 CPD overtime earners in that period. At the top of the list is Lieutenant Tony Hazlett, the Investigative Services Bureau Chief. Since fiscal year 2017, Hazlett's racked up more than 1,000 hours of overtime annually for every year except one. For the past 2 years, Hazlett has claimed more than 2,000 hours of overtime. For the 2023 fiscal year ending last June, records show Hazlett claimed 2,546 hours of OT, making an extra $113,000 and more than doubling his yearly salary of $62,500. Thanks to his overtime, the lieutenant has more than doubled the amount he has earned over the past 7 years. Second on the list is Major John Garton. The deputy chief has totaled more than 8,400 hours of overtime the last 7 years, with more than half of those hours coming the last 3 years. It adds up to an extra $347,000 on his paycheck, which means he's averaging $108,000 a year since 2017. At number 3 is Captain Mike Pridemore, the Community Policing Bureau Chief. Since 2017, he's worked more than 8,300 overtime hours, bringing in an extra $351,000. Combined with Pridemore's base pay, that averages out to nearly $110,000 a year. The list goes on and includes 7 more officers who worked more than 5,000 hours of OT since 2017, all earning more than $180,000 above their regular salaries. 2 lieutenants, 3 sergeants, and 2 corporals. We've also included overtime totals for former Chief James Tyke Hunt, who stepped down from his position citing back problems and is now a lieutenant. From 2017 to 2020, when he was eligible for OT, Hunt collected nearly 1,000 extra work hours a year. But even with that much overtime added to his regular salary, Hunt is just the 4th highest paid officer on the force since fiscal year 2017. In total, he's earned $683,000, trailing Hazlett, Garton, and Pridemore. Interim Chief Scott Dempsey, who took over the department when Hunt stepped down, worked an extra 2,800 hours of overtime when he was eligible between 2017 and 2021. However, his OT totals are much lower than everyone else on our list. In fiscal year 2017, the department's overtime costs for 179 officers totaled $1.9 million. That paid for 60,000 overtime hours. In fiscal year 2023, for 186 officers, the department's OT expenses were nearly $3 million due to about 78,000 overtime hours. We asked to talk with Charleston Mayor Amy Goodwin and former Chief Hunt about the overtime costs. Those interview requests were refused, but Hunt did send us an email while he was still chief, stating in part, the overtime worked has made Charleston a safer place as the city trends toward the third year of an overall record low crime rate in a 10-year span. Hunt said, quote, "The growing number of events our city hosts, our preventative policing initiatives, and our community policing efforts ask a lot of non-scheduled time from our officers, along with the multiple federal task force partnerships. This extra work our officers sign up for is reviewed and approved by a supervisor of higher or equal rank." Hunt went on to say, quote, "Overtime is also necessary for investigations, call-out situations, and when notifications need to be made. Crime does not stop at a certain hour, and neither do our investigators." Hunt says those factors, coupled with multiple raises over the last 3 years, are why overtime costs have gone up. Besides a direct impact on the city's finances, overtime pay could affect police pensions. That's because pension amounts are determined by how much an officer annually makes during a set period of years. Overtime pay is included in that equation, so if you collect a bunch of overtime over a number of years, your annual pension will grow. A dwindling number of active pension contributors coupled with rising yearly costs could cause big problems down the line. We'll explore that issue in an upcoming report. And if you want to see all of the Charleston Police Department's payroll records from 2017 to 2023, detailed numbers of the department's top 10 overtime claimers, and former Chief Ty Kunt's entire statement, you can go to our website at WCHS-TV.com and to our YouTube page. In Charleston, with this Eyewitness News investigation, I'm Kenny Bass.
We have more great Eyewitness News investigates right here. Subscribe and hit the bell notification to have the latest uploads delivered straight to you.